Welcome to Office 2010 Video Project 17. Hey, in this video, we're going to talk about PowerPoint. Now, there's only going to be one video on PowerPoint. There's just not much to PowerPoint. And when you're doing your homework, we're just going to do chapters 1 and 2, one problem from chapter 1 and one problem from chapter 2. All right, now, we're going to open up PowerPoint and just start creating a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to go to Start because I don't see down here on the taskbar a shortcut. Start, All Programs, Microsoft Office, and then there is PowerPoint. By default, it comes up with one slide. This happens to be a title slide. Now there's a slide tab and an outline tab. You can create PowerPoint presentations in those two views, and we're going to do a little bit in each because there's some advantages to slide and advantages to outline. All right, so by default it comes up like this. Presentation 1, not a good name, so I'm going to hit F12 to save as. And I'm going to navigate to my class notes, PowerPoint class notes, Winter 2016 class notes, and finally PowerPoint. I'm going to call this my second, actually no, I'm going to call this Business 216 class. Business 216 class. All right, so where do you want to save it? What do you want to call it? And the file type, PPTX. X is that new file extension. In older versions, it used to be PPT. I'm going to click Save. All right, this is called a slide. This is the title slide. If you click right here, it's quite polite. It says click to add title. This thing right here is called a placeholder. Now you could grab this if you wanted to and spin it. You could actually point to the edge and move it wherever you want. I'm going to Ctrl Z, placeholders. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to type Business 216. Now, subtitle. I'm going to type by your name. Now, where it says your name, I want you to put your name. All right? So there's our title slide. All right, now we'd like to add some new slides. I'm simply going to click over here in the slide pane, and boom, anytime you see that horizontal flashing cursor, you just hit Enter. What's great about that is you not only can add slides to the end, but you can insert a slide. So if your cursor's flashing right there, you just, boom, Enter. And then you could enter, and add a bunch of new slides. All right, I'm going to hit Enter again. I do want to show you the navigation tricks that we learned earlier in Word and Windows Explorer. We're going to see them again here in PowerPoint, and we'll see them in Excel also. What if I wanted to highlight slide 5 and 3? You select the first slide, hold down Control, and then click on the other slide. That allows you to select slides that are not next to each other. Then you can delete or move or whatever. I'm going to hit the delete key. Actually, Control Z. The same, just to remind us, the same trick as in earlier programs. If you want to highlight all of these, I click on the first one, I hold Shift, click on the last one, that highlights everything in between, and then hit delete. All right, now we would like to have a topic slides. This is about Business 216. That's this class. So we're going to click in this title. This is a placeholder for the title. And we're going to type topics. Now we have the word topics. I want to jump our cursor to the next placeholder. Now, this is a bulleted list. You could just click right here, but no way. You can, if you do PowerPoints a lot, you can just hit Ctrl Enter. Ctrl Enter jumps to the next placeholder. And actually, if you Control Enter from the last placeholder, there was 1, 2, Control Enter, it actually creates a new slide. We didn't want to do that right here. We actually wanted our cursor right here. Now, the topic slide in a PowerPoint presentation just wants to give the audience a little tour of where we're going. So the topics we're going to cover in Business 216, Windows, Explorer. Now this is a bulleted list, just like over in Word. When you hit Enter, automatically creates a new bulleted list. The next topic was PowerPoint. Enter, Excel, Enter, Access. Now we forgot one, but no problem. A bulleted list is quite accommodating. I'm just going to click right here and hit Enter, and then type Word. Now we have our topic slide. What we would like over here is a bunch of new slides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least one slide for each topic. Now I could create 5 new slides and retype a title for each one, but I got to show you a great trick that involves the outline pane. Now the slides pane is great because you can see all the slides and you have a big area to work, but outline is another option. Now outline works just like a bulleted list. Let's take a look here. If I hit Enter, oh, it's a new bullet. Now what if I hit Shift Tab? Shift Tab goes up a level. Now I'm going to hit Tab. If I just added a new section here, you can see it's appearing over here. Now bulleted list, when I hit Enter, if I hit Tab, it goes in a level. And we looked at this over in Word. But Shift Tab, so Tab goes, I always think of it going forward and Shift Tab going backwards. But Tab goes in a level. Shift Tab goes up a level. Now I'm going to backspace. Because really what I'd like to do here is create a new slide. So Shift Tab, and boom, it creates a new slide. And then you could start typing. Now that's kind of convenient. You could type Windows Explorer, Enter, and then Tab. And then we could type the content, what we're going to study in Windows Explorer, to give people a detailed view. Now I'm not going to do many bullets in this PowerPoint. Just do 1 or 2 bullets on each slide. So this one would be File Management. So that is normally how you would use the Outline tab to create a PowerPoint presentation. But I got to show you a great trick. Remember, our goal was 1, 2, we have our topics, and we already have, in essence, the title for each one of our slides. I'm going to highlight this and then hold Shift and click on the end and backspace. Now, I want to highlight all these and automatically create a title slide. I'm going to click right there with my I-beam, and before I click at the end of Access, the last bullet, I'm going to hold the Shift key and then click. That highlights everything in between. Control C for copy. Click at the end. Enter. Control V. Now that's ridiculous, right? Repeating. But watch this. Remember, Tab goes forward or in a level, and Shift Tab goes backwards. I'm going to highlight the second set, not the first set, but the second set. Shift, click. And now what happens when I Shift Tab? I love that trick. I have my many PowerPoints where I just create my topics on the topic slide, and then boom, automatically copy, paste, Shift Tab, and I have those new slides. Let's go over here. You could create your slideshow here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back over here. And sure enough, look at that. Automatically created all those slides. Now I'd like to type on this slide. So in the slide pane, I'm just going to click 1 time there to select that slide. Actually, these were all selected. If you see over here that whatever slide you see here, you can actually click over here also. Now I want to just type a few things for each slide. We studied File Management. Enter. And now I want to Tab to go in. Enter, and then whoops, folders. Now I'm going to want to go to the next one, so I'm going to click right here. This is the Word one. Do a short one here, just Word. Come over here to the next one, PowerPoint. I'm going to come to the next one, Excel. I'm going to do Calculations. Enter. Tab. Tab goes in a level. Formulas, Functions. Enter. And now I'm going to Shift. Actually, one more. Shift Tab goes back, and then Data Analysis. I cannot type. I still can't type. Look at that. I can't spell. I can't type. Tab. sort, filter, pivot tables. Shift Enter, and then Shift Tab, and now I'm going to type charts. All right, so that's a great example in bad typing. All right, so when you're doing your bulleted lists, knowing those keyboard shortcuts Tab and Shift Tab are pretty handy. All right, the last one, Access. And basically with a database, you store raw data and create information from raw data. Right-click, all that bad typing. All right, so we've seen some basics about how to add slides, add a title slide, a topic slide, some regular slides with content, and how to use bullets. Now, the next, there's a couple things, and typing it out is pretty much the hardest thing, because adding design and transitions and things like that is just amazing. Let's go over to the design. Right? If you've never used PowerPoint, I do remember the first time I saw a PowerPoint presentation, I couldn't believe how awesome it looked. And I thought, man, they took a long time to create those. But then when I did it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is easy. So in 2010, there's a design tab, and there's themes. So all you have to do is select one, and watch what happens over here. If I click this, click once, they all get the theme. Now, if you wanted to highlight just a few slides and highlight just those with a different theme, you could right-click and then apply to selected slides. We're not going to do that here. There's more. You can click this More button. What's nice about all these themes, or even you can build custom themes, is that your business could choose one, and then everything is consistent. Now I'm going to select this one right here. Ooh, Control Z. Didn't want just those. I'm going to click on the first one, and then boom, click that theme right there. Also, as we saw in Word, you can change the colors. I'm going to select Civic. You can change the fonts. And effects. Now, effects are for objects like shapes or pictures or smart art. We saw some of that in Word. The textbook does a great job of that. We're not going to. We actually are going to insert a linked Word object later, but I'm not going to do any pictures. All right. So themes, very nice. So easy, just a few clicks away. We next want to talk about transitions and animations. Now, in 2007, there was not a transition ribbon tab. There was just an animations. And the animations tab in 2007 was mostly transition, and then there was one little group for animation. But they split it apart in 2010. Transition is simply the movement from one slide to the next. So when you hit Enter in your slide presentation and get to the next slide, that's the transition, is the movement. Animations is how things move on the slide, so how the bullets move. Now, we first want to look at transitions. Now, we want to take note over here that transitions, when you click, and we can just select one. I'm going to click the drop down and select checkerboard. Notice there's a star. It gives us a preview, very nice, but there's a star right there. The reason that all of the slides didn't get applied is because we didn't click Apply to All. Now, that's different than the theme. When we clicked the theme, it went to all the slides. That was the default. Once you select one, then there's some effects. This checkerboard has two. I'm going to do from top. You can select a sound. Maybe cash register. Duration, I love this. You can I like to make it real quick. Maybe 0.5. And then now, when I clicked Apply to All, we'll get our little star indicating that we've done it to all the slides. Now, before we look at animation, let's go ahead and run this PowerPoint presentation and look and see what transition looks like. Now, you can go to Slideshow from beginning. The keyboard shortcut is F5. From current slide, which is nice when you're editing one particular slide, it's that button, or Shift F5. Let's go ahead and hit F5. Wow, that's looking good already. Now, how do you move forward in a PowerPoint presentation? You can hit Enter. You can hit the space bar. You can click. But what I like is to use the arrow keys, because the arrow keys, if I do down arrow, it goes forward, and up arrow goes backwards. So you have the ability to go forwards and backwards. Another navigation trick when you're running a PowerPoint presentation slideshow is you can actually type in the number on the, I'm going to use the number pad, 5, and enter, and it jumps to slide 5. Now that's good when you have a huge PowerPoint presentation and say you're only going to do 10 selected. You kind of write down the slides and then just go 5, 6, 12, or whatever. Now I'm going to go 1, enter. And you can see here when I hit enter or down arrow, the transition is just what happens between the slides. I'm going to click escape. We now would like to look at animation. Now before we talk about animations on the animation tab, I'd like to talk about layout, because when we do animation, layout is going to come into play. Now on all of our slides, we have the default layout, which is a title and then some content. We have bullets here. Let's go up to the home ribbon, and we can see layout. There are different layouts, right? Title, layout, title and content. To content, the one they show you in the book is comparison. I'd like to actually change. I want to have all the slides have the title. Well, we have title slide. All the rest are title and content. I want to add one more layout. So I'm going to click escape, and I'm going to click down on slide 6, Excel. With this slide selected, I'm going to go to layout, and I like to content. All right, so now if you click around, you can see we have 3 placeholders. Now I'm going to highlight data, and just data analysis. Oh, look at that. Right click, it doesn't know, pivot. Okay, maybe I got it right finally. All right, so I'm going to highlight this. Ctrl X for cut. I'm going to click over here, Ctrl V. Now what's going to happen when we animate this is these will fly in first, and we can talk about these, and then this will fly in second, and we talk about these. All right, now we have 2 different layouts. We actually have 3: the title and content, and then the two-sided one. I forget what that's called. Oh, to content. Now we want to talk about animation. We're ready. Now animations. In 2007 version, they had an animations tab, but it had both transition and animation. They broke that apart here. You have transitions, a single ribbon tab, and an animations ribbon tab. Now we just did transitions, animation. Now the way the textbook shows you how to do animations, they click on a slide, an individual slide, and they come over here as long as you, and then they select a placeholder like this, and then they add animation. Now notice when I click on the slide, they're all grayed out. It's not until you actually highlight a thing like a placeholder or a picture that actually can receive animation that they're available. The problem with doing it on individual slides is that then you have to go through all the slides if you want animation on all the slides and add animation individually. Now in Office 2003 and earlier, they used to have, just like transitions, a single button you could click that would animate all the slides. I have looked all over. I cannot find it in PowerPoint 2007 or 10. So what does that mean? Are we really going to have to animate each slide by hand? No way. We're going to do something called Slide Master. All right, we have to go to View, the View tab, and then here it is, Master Views. We click on Slide Master. Now, Slide Master, again, this is just amazing. Anything you do to the Slide Master, all the slides will get it. You could add color, change font, animation like we're going to do. Now there's one important thing. This Slide Master at the top, if you do animation here, it will do it to all the slides, including if they have different layouts. For example, here's the title. Here's our regular title and content. And here's our to content. Now, if you wanted to do individual animation to a particular layout, then you would animate these. If you want to do it to all of them, you use this. Another nice thing, if you point to this, you could see the screen tip. It says, oh, this is used by slide 1. This one says it's used by slide 2, 5, and 7. And we point to this one down here. It says used by slide 6. Now, we're going to apply our animation up here, so it will apply to all the slides. But then I'm going to come back later and show you how to change an individual layout using the slide master. Must have a frog in my throat. All right, so I'm going to click here. Excuse me. All right, and we want to animate, so I'm going to go to the animation. They're all grayed out, but no way. I click on a placeholder. This is the first one I want to come in. I'm going to choose amongst the different entrances. That's what I want to use here. Emphasis, that means after the placeholder flies in, do you want it to do a particular thing? And then there's even exits. Now, the rule of thumb for animation is you don't want it to be too busy, and you don't want to use too many different kinds. I'm going to click Fly In. Notice it came flying in from the bottom. We could come up here and choose which direction. I'm going to say from the left. Now, that number 1 means that it's the first animation to fly in. Those numbers become important when you have lots of animation. Now, one rule of thumb, again, if you don't want to pick a lot of different animations, that's going to make your presentation chaotic. You want to probably stick with one. Same with the effects, right? You could choose whichever one, but then stick with it. So you want it to be consistent. I'm going to click right here. I'm going to do the same thing to be consistent, fly in, and from the left. Now, what are some examples when you maybe would want to select a lot of different types of animations? You didn't want to be consistent, or say you wanted to choose different ones of different options here, effects. Well, for example, if I was teaching accounting and I had one slide where I was teaching about debit, which means the left side of an accounting account, I would use left. Then I would switch it when I start talking about credit, which is the right side of the account, I would use right. The point of this is that whatever you put in, because what are we putting in? We're using movement to articulate our message. That movement has to contribute to the message. So you would change it up if the movement would help articulate the message. Right for credit, left for debit, absolutely beautiful. Now, the other example, if your presentation is literally about chaos, then man, it might be great to have a lot of different animations. Or maybe you're marketing a punk rock band and you want it to be wild and crazy. All right, but in general, you want to keep it consistent. All right, so we've added our animation. I would like to look at the animation pane. This is very helpful when you have more than one piece of animation. Now notice they're ranked and the numbers are over here. Now this happens to be the exact order we want, but what if we didn't? What if we wanted to have the audience look at the bullets and try and guess what the topic was? Well, in this case we could use the pane, click on the number 2 and say reorder. Now this is second and this is first. So you have power over which order. Now if you were thinking in advance, you would have clicked on this one first and second, but you have this option. Now I'm going to push this down because I really do want this first. Let's go look at this in slideshow. Notice how relatively easy it was. A couple clicks and our whole presentation will be animated. Now I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut F5 to start the show at slide number 1. There's our title slide. Looks like it's working just fine. There's our title with content, working just fine. Animation. There's our transition. So the animation and transition's looking just fine. If we move forward to the Excel, this has the layout to content, and it is working also. Now I'm going to click Escape and go back to Slide Master. If you wanted to do individual animations on the different layouts. You wouldn't apply it here. You'd go and apply it directly to the layout. All right. This is the slide master. Here's our slide master ribbon tab. And to close it, I'm going to come over here and close. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to see how to put a link. We're going to put an object. We're actually going to put two objects. We're going to open up Excel, copy, and paste a link to that Excel file. And then we're going to see how to do a video. And we're going to see how to paste a link to a video different than the way the textbook does it. Now I'm going to click down here. Let's see, slide 6. This was our Excel slide. I want to click in the slide pane over here right below, and we see that horizontal flashing bar. Hit Enter. That allows us to insert a slide directly where we want it. Now look what happened here. Actually, sorry, this got pulled up. We'll talk about notes in just a moment. But look what happened here. It adopted the layout from the slide above. Now that's not what I want here. I want to actually take an Excel object and place it here and a link to a video. And so I don't want anything except for a title. No problem. With that slide selected, I go out to Layout, and I'm going to say Title Only. Now I'm going to click here, and I'm going to type Excel Examples. All right, now I'm going to Control S on this, and I want to go and open up Excel. We are going to do a paste special link just like we did back in Word, but now we're going to do it in PowerPoint. I'm going to open up Excel. I'm going to immediately save it, F12, and I'm going to save it to my PowerPoint class notes. So let's see, Lexara Highline, whatever quarter you're in, Business 216, class notes, and PowerPoint. Where do you want to save it? What do you want to call it? PP for PowerPoint. Excel link. What do you want to call it? What type is it? I'm going to click Save. Now we're just going to do something silly here. We're going to imagine that what we do here is like a budget that's changing all the time, because that's why you do a link. But I'm just going to do something silly here. I'm going to type, actually zoom in. I'm going to hold Control and roll the wheel on my mouse. I'm going to type JAN in, whoops, escape. That is A4, and that's not where I want it. I'm going to scroll up using my wheel, A1. I'm going to type JAN, and then Ctrl Enter. That puts the thing in the cell and keeps the cell highlighted. I'm going to take my selection cursor, that's this, and as I move it closer to that little box, that little black box in the lower right-hand corner, when it turns to a little crosshair or angry rabbit, I'm going to click and drag. I'm just going to do a simple little something here to January. Now, I want to highlight. Now, just a moment ago we used that. Don't use that. Use the white cursor, the white cross with the black shadow. Click and drag. Say that big. I'm going to add some borders. All right. Control S to save. And now I'm going to copy this. We're going to imagine that this is a dynamic budget or something. We'll see how to do that when we get to Excel. Control C for copy. And now I want to paste it over in PowerPoint. To jump back to PowerPoint, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Alt-Tab. I'm going to click down here, go up to Paste. Oh, look, Home ribbon, the Paste clipboard area in Word and in Excel will always be in the same place on the Home ribbon. I'm going to click the drop down. I do not see the built-in one I want, so I'm going to click Paste Special. Just as we did over in Word, I'm going to make sure to click that Paste Link, Microsoft Excel object. Just fine. Click OK. By the way, sorry, my grid lines just appeared. I got to show you. Hey, we want to fit this just fine, so I'm going to go to View and then Grid Lines. Oh, look at those grid lines. Now we can actually fit this on our PowerPoint right in the middle. Now, before we do that, I want to show you how to size this. Once you click in a placeholder, you can actually point to one of the edges. Actually, if you click on the edge, that move cursor allows you to move this wherever you want. I'm going to Control Z for undo. But what I want to do is scoot it up. So I'm going to wait till I see that vertical arrow and click and drag just a little bit. Now I'm going to drag this, say, over to right there. I'm trying to match that corner up with that grid line. Now I'm going to point to the edge and click and drag. And my goal is I'm going to match up this corner here right to there. All right, so I'm trying to get it in the center. Now I'm going to click up here. And I'm going to go back to Home. And sure enough, just like in Word, and for that matter in Excel too, there's alignment. All right, now I'm going to click here, and I want to move it up just a little bit at a time. So I'm going to use the arrow keys, arrow, arrow up. I also want to verify that this is a link. So I'm going to right click. Oh, and I see the link information, so I know it's a link. All right, I want to go back over to Excel, Alt-Tab, and just see how this works. I'm just going to highlight and add a color, that bucket right there. Zoop. Alt-Tab, and sure enough, the link is working. Now I want to close both of these. I'm going to Alt-Tab, Ctrl-S to save. I'm going to close it. You can use the red X or Alt-F4. I'm going to Ctrl-S, use the red X or Alt-F4. Now, I want to open up PowerPoint. Oh, when we did this in Word, we didn't do this. But now I want to open up, I want to open up Excel. And I want to make some changes. Now I'm going to just do a quick change here. And what we're trying to simulate, I want to select. So I'm going to use my selection cursor, that white cross. Highlight that. And what we want to simulate is if this is a budget, then numbers are changing. So I just want to quickly add some numbers to all the cells. So with that active cell highlighted in white, I'm going to type 1 and then Ctrl Enter. Whoa! So when you have more than one cell highlighted, Ctrl Enter like populates all the cells with the thing you created. We'll see how to use that later when we get to Excel. Now Ctrl S and close. Notice, or think about this. We've changed the Excel file, closed it, saved it, and we didn't have the PowerPoint open. So now let's open the PowerPoint. I'm going to double click. And lucky, we get this message. I definitely want to say, hey, update my links. Now remember, what should happen is when we look down here to our slide, I got one of these pesky messages right here. I'm going to say close the program. But when we look down here on slide 7, no way, it updated. So if you have the advantage to the paste special link is if you have some other file that's like an Excel file that's changing a lot, and you don't want to have to always recopy and paste, recopy and paste. Now we talked over in Word how to deal with links a little bit more detail, so you can watch that video there also. All right, now the next thing we want to do is we have a link. I want to actually create a link to a video. Now, in the textbook, they're going to have you add a Microsoft Office video. And if you use that file format, you can actually paste, just like they do in the textbook, a video that plays right here. But you know, most of the cool videos are going to be on YouTube or some other place. So I want to show you an alternative. Now I'm going to go out to the internet and search for an appropriate video. Control S. I'm going to click on the Internet Explorer shortcut. I'm going to go to Google, and we're going to search Google, not the normal search, and not images, but videos. And I'm going to type VLOOKUP. That is a function in Excel. It's one of the last topics we'll get to cover in this class. We'll get to learn about Excel in our next segment. But let's just hit Enter. And so I get a list of videos, and this looks like a good one right here. I'm going to click it. And what I want to do is, this is the video I want. I watched it. It's perfect. I'm actually going to highlight these words. Control C to copy. I'm going to hit pause. Alt-Tab to go back to PowerPoint. Now I want to paste those words and then put a link inside those words. But wait a second. There's no placeholders on this PowerPoint slide. No problem. We can go to Insert. We can make any placeholder we want. Text box. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to try and do it the same centered size as that. Zip. Those grid lines kind of help. Now Control V A little bit too big, so I'm going to highlight it. You remember that we could use this right here, but remember the keyboard shortcut for increase font size and decrease font size? It works in PowerPoint and Word. Control square bracket. So I did the open square bracket to go down, and sure enough, that'll work. Now with it still highlighted, I'm going to Alt-Tab to jump back over to Internet Explorer. I'm going to click inside the address bar, Control-C to copy, Alt-Tab to jump back to PowerPoint. Now, how do I put a link? We did this over in Word. Right-click Hyperlink, or I'm going to click Escape, Control-K. Immediately, I'm going to paste with Control-V and OK. I'm going to Control-S. I want to go see if our link will work while playing the video. Now, remember, F5 starts from the beginning, but if I'm editing a slide and want to see it, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Shift F5. All right, we can already see one problem. It's not animated. It was a blank slide, so it's not going to get any animation. And then I hit Enter. But let's go ahead and see if this works. So here's the link. Oh, actually, we can. There's another thing we can fix. We can actually change that screen tip. I'm going to click on it and see if it plays. So this is while you're playing your PowerPoint presentation and giving your presentation. There it goes. It works just fine. It opens up. Now I'm going to close this right here. Escape. We have a few things to fix here. Escape. The first thing is I'm going to Control-K, and I'm going to go to Screen Tip. By the way, you could have right-clicked and Edit Hyperlink. Control-K, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to say Watch Video. So when we go and check this again, when we hover our cursor, that link should say Watch Video. Click OK, click OK. Now we need to animate. And I'm going to animate these right on the individual slides, because these were objects we put in that on a blank slide. Animations, fly in. Whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. And from the left. Now I'm going to click down here, fly in from the left. All right, so now you can see this 1 and 2 on the individual slide. All right, I'm going to Shift F5 to see how this slide works. I got my fingers crossed. All right, transition, Excel examples. There it goes. There it goes. And then when we hover our cursor, watch video, click, and it should work. All right, just one or two more things. I'm going to close this. I'm going to click Escape on the PowerPoint presentation. One last thing before we look at the some great printing options. Sometimes you want to look at a different view. Or here's another example. Let's say you accidentally close this. Now you technically can click and drag this. If you close that pane, we have the lovely slide and outline. Another way to do it is just click on this, and it opens it back up. Slide sorter. This just gives you a view of all the slides together. You can click on the stars and see the animation and transition. There's a couple other, notes page, which we'll talk about just in a moment. And reading view, which I never knew. I'm going to go back to this. Now, let's look at notes. One last thing before we look at our printing. Sometimes when you're giving a PowerPoint presentation, you want to have notes. And what this allows you to do is you can print out one slide per page with notes. So you just have some note here of something you want to remember to say. All right, and you can actually do that for each slide. As you click on each slide, there's click to add notes. Now, my rule of thumb for the notes is practice your presentation so you don't need notes. You do not need to read from something. Now, some people are pressured for time, but if you want to do a good presentation, you should be fluent with that presentation and not have to look at notes. All right, printing. Some great things we could do with print. And remember, when we looked at a print in Word in 2010, print preview and print dialog box are combined. So now all we need is the keyboard shortcut Control P. All right, just like over in Word, here's our print preview. Here's our print dialog box. Now, print all slides, or this drop down. You can print all the slides, print selection, print current slide, or custom range. In essence, I clicked over there. Custom range is right there. You can select this, and this is kind of the real power of printing. Full pages, that means one slide per page, or notes, and there's our preview. You can see as you print out, you can then see which slide it is and have your notes. You could also do outline. That's another option here. Handouts is very important to know how to print out handouts. 4 slides horizontal. Now notice I have landscape. It just horizontal means the slides are horizontal. But if you change this to landscape, you can get the slides a little bit bigger. So that's a nice way to print out. One last thing about print. Well, it looks like we already have some headers and footers here. There's 2 different headers and footers in PowerPoint. There's the actual outer page and the actual slide. So let's see how we do this. The notes and handouts, that's this stuff right here. And you can see we have the page number and the date. And then slide. So now I'm just for slide. I want it to show up in this particular layout. It shows up here. So I'm going to click slide number and then click apply to all. And so now you can kind of see it right there. All right. So there's a difference between the actual slide and then the handout or notes. All right. And then you can go ahead and print, and that's ready to go. You can zoom through your layout right down here. I'm going to Ctrl S. That is the finished. I'm going to click Escape. Remember, when you're in print preview, don't click that because it'll close the whole thing. I'm going to click Escape or that. All right, that's PowerPoint. That was a long video. That's about all I know about PowerPoint, but there's some good tips there. Our next section, our next video will be Excel, and boy, will we get to have a lot of fun with Excel. All right, see you next video.